Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. If you're new here, my name is Mohammed. We continue our training and the preparation for Elastic Certified Engineer exam, and today we will discuss a new topic. We will see how we write and execute aggregation that contains sub-aggregations, right? So let's go to the documentation. So what's a sub-aggregation allow us to do? Like we saw previously how to create aggregation, metric or bucket aggregation. So like if you want to split your data based on the, based on any field, right? Let's say a timestamp, and you create a weekly a bucket, meaning you will put all the data that's coming from first week in first bucket, and the second week in the second bucket, and so on and so forth. Now sub-aggregation, it's allow us to do some other calculation on every bucket, right? So we saw the first bucket, for example, is for the week 1. We want to calculate the average of the first bucket, the second bucket, and so on and so forth. This is what we're gonna see in our example. So the first example. All right, so the first example is we're gonna group by customer gender and find the total revenue per gender, right? So in this scenario, we're gonna use the e-commerce data sample from Elastic. This is what, like, we have imported them last time, and we will do the calculation based on, we will create the first bucket, based on the customer gender. Then we will do the sum of the total price. Then we will calculate the average, or we can calculate the average directly, right? With that being said, let's jump to our environment. Let me just do this. Let me close this one, right? So we'll do get, and okay, give me 1 second. Let's just, I think, samples. Let me see. Yes, let me add this one. We're gonna use the e-commerce. So I give it a few seconds, right? Perfect. So here we go again to the DevTools, e-commerce, this one. Then we're gonna call search endpoint. And here we will start our aggregation, right? So the first thing is the size, because we want just to create the aggregation. We don't need any documents to get in the results. So here we have our aggregation. So let me just add a comma here. Perfect. So the first aggregation, I will give it a name as gender, or let me put it in lowercase, gender group. Then the type is gonna be term, right? And here I will choose the field, and the field name is customer gender, right? Let me just remove this one, and let's open the Discover and see together. Perfect. So here we go. So we have let's add more time here. Let's add 7 days, for example. Perfect. And here, if we search for customer, all right. Oh yeah. So here e-commerce. So here customer gender, this one, right? So here, as you can see, we have two values for customer gender. We have female and male. Now we want to create a bucket or 2 buckets, first for female and the second for male, right? So this, if we run it like this, here we go. This is what we get. So this is the total document, and here the first bucket, and here the second bucket, right? Now we will create the sub-aggregation. We want to calculate the average of the order value, right? So to be able to do that, we have to create another bucket, right? We call it here, or we call the args again, let's just go to the next line, like this is better. So here is total revenue, right? And here the type is a sum, and here we give the name, here we give the field, perfect, and here move this one, and the field is gonna be the total. Yeah, so we choose taxable total price, right? So remove this one. Now if we run, here we go. So here we have the total revenue. Now this is the total, right? Now if I want to calculate the average, so here I have the total revenue. Now if I want to calculate the average, I can also do this and call 1 second, so it's 1, 2 is here, yep, and here we call it average order value, for example, and here, and here I will call the average, and here the field, and here the field I will call the same one, right? Here we go. So here we will create 2 sub buckets. One contain the total revenue, and one have the average, right? So again, you create the first bucket, the second bucket, or the sub bucket, or 2 sub buckets, right? So here I'm calculating the total is just doing a sum, and here the average mean the sum divided by the number of orders, right? Here we go. Let's move to the next scenario. Let me just copy it. So this gonna be the second scenario. Here we go. So we will find the top product categories and the average quantity purchased, right? And here we will create a new, where is it? New aggregation. So same gets, we will go with Kibana e-commerce, and here we call the search endpoint, and here we start our aggregation. So it starts with the size, we don't need any value in return, and here it will be aggregation. So the aggregation, so here we will search for the category, which is this field, right? So we have different type of categories. We will create a bucket for each type of category, right? So the field should be here. So the name, we give it top categories, and the type is terms, and then here we give the field, and the field should be category. So here, as you can see, we have this problem, and if you read the error, this is or this field is text or string. We cannot create bucket aggregation based on the text. What we can do is we use the .key keyword, and here we run or here we can create aggregation based on this field, right? So this is what we have. It creates a bucket for each type of, or each category, as we saw here our field. So as you can see, this is the bucket number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth, and this is the value, right? Now if I want to calculate the average, now we know how to do it. So here add a comma, and here add or call the ags, and here give it a name, or in the exam, or even in production, you have to respect the naming convention, or in the exam, if they ask you to do this or that, or choose this name or use this name, so you have to respect it. And here we go. So I will go with product quantity. So product dot, oops, 1 second, products. Let me go here and see the naming, or check products quantity. Perfect. I have this field. Perfect. So let me just copy paste. Let me copy paste the field. There we go. So if I come here, remove this one, put it. Here we go. Now if I run the query, and here we have the average quantity for each category, right? So this is the result. Now with the last scenario, our third scenario, so I'll just copy paste the scenario here, right? So we will analyze the monthly sales trends by region, right? So here we will have the first bucket. It's based on the date histogram. We will see the order date. Then we will create first sub buckets based on the customer region. Then we will create another sub bucket on the total price or the total sales, right? So the field's gonna be this. Let me just remove this one and remove the category as well. Quantity. Let me remove it from here. Also this one, we don't need it. So the fields that we're gonna use is the order date. So as you can see, the order date is already in the right format. So it's here. And if we open it and we go or we search for the order date, so you see the small calendar mean the time, or the type is a date, mean we can create a date histogram. Then we will see the other fields, right? Let's go. So we will create a new one here. Okay, let me just like this. It's gonna be better like this. Yep. I hope the size of the character is good. If not, next time I will make sure that I use our. Okay, so here gets, and here e-commerce endpoints, here search endpoint, and here our start. So the size as usual 0. If they ask you to return 10 documents or something, then you can specify. If they did not, you can just put it to 0. If, like, we know now if we use the size 0, it's return just the buckets. Right, so the first one is, we give it a name, we call it monthly sales, and the type is date histogram, and here we choose the field, and the field gonna be, as we saw, order date, right? So let's run the first aggregation, and here we go. We have an error, and as you can see, we are missing the interval. So if I do this and add calendar interval and do months, is we're gonna use a monthly, sorry. And here if we run, now we get the results, right? So here we have 2 buckets. We have the month, this month and this month, right? So we have 2 buckets. Now let's move to the second or to sub bucket. So I will do this and the same axe, and here we give it a name, and the name is gonna be, since they ask us to calculate the total sum or the total sales for a region, so here is gonna be region. We will calculate the region, and here terms, and here we choose, or we pick the right fields, which is customer region, right? So if we come here and we see customer, let me see the region. Here we go. So this is the right field. So it's a geo-IP region name. Let me copy paste it. So here it's gonna be something like this, right? So now if we run it, here we go. So we have first the bucket. This is the first bucket, and here it's counting like how many documents we have in the first bucket. Then it's split the main bucket or the main first bucket to sub buckets based on the region, right? So here we have, for example, New York, Dubai, we have Cairo, and so on and so forth. Now the last one is calculating the sub aggregation. It will calculate the total sales, right? So here we will add it here, and we call ags, and here the name is total sales, and here is gonna be sum since it's total. If it's average, we will use average, and so on and so forth. The field, and here remove this one and use total tax for total price, for example, right? And here we go. If you run, so here what you will get, the first bucket, which is monthly bucket, and the second sub bucket as we saw per region. So here we have New York, and this is the total document, and here we have the sum, right? So this should answer the third scenario. And with that being said, we get to the end of this video. Let me know in the comment section if it is clear or not, if you want more examples, or if you face any issue or errors during the implementing the scenarios, and we'll see you in the next video.